So they say, that doesn't kill you can only make you stronger. Well, I've got questions. Who the fuck is they, and does their family have COVID? But regardless of who they is and their ridiculous accusations of getting stronger, I'm back. Haven't posted in a while because, well, everybody's trying to die in my family. Today, let's talk about rods. Big, fat, sexy rods. Particularly rods from DentStuff.com. So here's how it happened. The first time I actually laid my eyes on a Dent Stuff rod was at Branson this year. And let me tell you, these things are gorgeous. So do you need a big extendable carbon fiber rod if you just kind of dabble in hail? Well, you know, probably not. But is it cool as fuck to have? Oh yeah, check it out. That's a big old rod. So not only is this Dent Stuff extendable hail rod beautiful, it's super functional too. At its shortest, it's probably about 4 feet. At its longest, this MFer is 8 feet long. All it takes is a little unscrewing. Oh, mamma jamma. That is a nice rod. That's a really nice rod. That's a nice rod. That's one thing we know about Dave, is his rod is super nice. Fully extended, man, that is a long rod. That rod's hard to control. I gotta stand back here for you to even see the whole rod. Now, most men can't control this much rod. But I'm not most men. So right now, the only hail damaged vehicle I have in the shop is this here Subaru wholesale unit. So we're gonna take a look at using this rod, even though this one might be a little long, to fix this. Now, so the beauty about these extendo rods is if you're working on, let's say, an SUV, you can stand at the very back and work almost all the way to the front. Remember, this thing's 8 foot long. It's damn near as long as this car. Now, real quick, let's talk about these tips. This is actually a blending tip from Metal Medic, but on realworldpdr.com, I'm gonna show you how I use this to start out large hail dents, and it's actually pretty badass. Now, it's a blending tip, but I always say rules are for suckers and dummies. On the other side, we have the 380 tip. Now, this thing is a little bit of magic. If you want one that's rose gold like this, too bad. You gotta be friends with Woody Cost because this was a mistake and it's mine. But the cool thing about that tip is it kind of works like a sharp tip if you put a little stank on it, and it works like your normal ass kind of tip if you don't. So let's mention something else about these Dent Stuff rods. Now there's a lot that I'm probably not gonna cover. Get on his website and check it out. But on the tips of these rods, there are 4 places to attach tips. 2 of them angle. One angles forward, one angles backwards. I don't happen to need that right now, but it's nice to have if you do. On the very tip here, you can also screw in several of the attachments that he has that I have found to be super handy. Basically just different kinds of tips, even a whale tail attachment. When it comes down to it, this thing is fucking beautiful and I fucking love it. Let's see it in action. So all I'm using here is just a regular old gutter hook. Nothing fancy about that, but if you can see here, I'm out of room, right? And that's getting me to about a third of the way through this roof. Now, a little bit of this. Now, friends, I'm deep. Really putting my rod real deep in there. From here, with that rod fully extended, I can get to the very front of this Subaru, which means I won't have to work from the side as much. Now, truth be told, this is my very first extendable hail rod. It's also the prettiest son of a bitch that I've ever fucking seen. I know Carbon Tech makes a good one, I just haven't had my hands on it yet. One thing I can definitely say is I'm super impressed with the quality of this hail rod, and we've got a discount code for Dent Stuff and Carbon Tech at realworldpdr.com. Those discount codes can save you the entire cost of your tuition alone. Now, over here in the hail rod having part of my shop, we can see that Dent Stuff also has a shorter version. And they also have one that's very similar in size to something like the wood rod. Now you can see here, this one is a little longer than the regular wood rod, but the Wood XL is roughly the same size. I will say it, and I will say it with full confidence, this Dent Stuff hail rod is by far the nicest hail rod that I have personally ever owned. I am proud to have had it, and I'm also even more happy that Lynn Monroe doesn't have a nicer hail rod than I do now. Eat it, Lynn.